What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up?
It's Famous Friday.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's Famous Friday. How you doing over there,
I'm
Miss
good.
Danielle Carter Walter?
I'm good. I can't complain.
Can't complain. Can't complain. That's good. That's good. Jefferson Park was lit.
Yes, it was. Yes,
Yeah.
I was down when I saw that video. You talk about that crazy liberal, crazy liberal.
She was crashing out for trans. Trans right matters. Trans right matters.
You talk about crazy liberal alert. Crazy liberal. I said,
They crashing out, man. I feel bad for them. I really feel bad for them because either they're really racist or they're crazy. There's no
yeah,
in between.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
choosing. Like these people don't care, man. It's been a
It's
lie,
it's crazy.
but it is what it is. It is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. But this right here, I'm gonna wait till a couple people coming in, but
Mm-hmm.
we got Dr. Pamela Denise Long in a couple of minutes. But this right here
Mm-hmm.
is crazy. Last
Yeah.
year was Ed Burke, but then I gave him like a year or something. But this one is a big one. This was the most powerful man in Illinois, man. This man today, whoo,
So
ex-House Speaker. Oh,
so do you feel like it's hope then for
yeah,
the
yeah.
okay, so you see hope,
Yeah,
see. Okay. Hold
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Keep talking. Let me get this water right quick. You keep talking. I'll be right
All
there.
right. Ex-House Speaker Michael Madigan sentenced to 7.5 years in prison after judge excoriates him for lying on witness stand, which I'm very surprised because I had no hope in this judge Judge Blakely, but I mean either he doing it for show or he I don't know. Shout out to Judge Blakely because I really didn't think he was on the good side. So former House Speaker Mike Madigan was sentenced Friday to 7.5 years in prison in his corruption case, capping a stunning fall for the once powerful politician. The sentence of 90 months was handed down by U.S. District Judge John Robert Blakely after the judge earlier in the hearing had found Madigan lied when testifying in his own defense during the trial. The testimony was hard to watch, Blakely said. It was a nauseating display of perjury and invasion. You lied, sir, you lied. You did not have to, the judge said. You had a right to sit there and exercise your right to silence, but you took the stand and you took the law into your own hands. Damn. And the sentence came moments after Madigan himself had addressed on the court. He was also fined $2.5 million, and the 83-year-old was told to report to custody October 13th. That's my birthdays. I am truly sorry for putting the people of the state of Illinois through this. I try to do my best to serve the people of the state. Madigan told the judge, I am not perfect. You were a devil, Madigan.
Yes.
Madigan declined to comment on the sentence after he left court with his lawyers, who promised an appeal. Madigan held himself out as always, working for the people, but in the end fit right into the mold of yet another corrupt leader in Illinois. A prosecutor argued Friday in asking for a stiff 12.5-year sentence. In her argument, Assistant U.S. Attorney Sarah Streecker brought up comments from U.S. District Judge James Zagel from then a decade ago when he told former Governor Rob Blagojevich, that corruption at such a high level in government had torn the fabric of the state. Arguably, the damage to the fabric of Illinois is even worse in this case, Stricker says. Governor, they came and went over the years, but Madigan stayed. His power and his influence remained constant. Stricker said Madigan also lied repeatedly on the witness stand when testifying in his own defense. He has yet to express a single ounce of remorse and has not taken a single step to take responsibility for what he's done. He's breached the public's trust, she said. Madigan's attorney, Dan Collins, however, urged Blakely to not sentence Mike on the rhetoric, but to focus on the reality that he spent his life looking for the little guy, looking out for the little guy. The fact that Madigan had been so strong for this state in protecting the citizens and workers, it has to be considered in fashioning a sentence. Collins said, today should not be about rhetoric. It ought to be about reality. Collins choked back tears as he said, the reality is that I'm honored to call Mike a friend. Earlier in the hearing, Blakely ruled that Madigan had indeed lied repeatedly and willfully on the witness stand when he testified in his own defense in January. Among the lies, the judge said, was Madigan's testimony about his minimal involvement with a ComEd subcontractor contract for his longtime precinct captain, Edward Moody. Blakely said Madigan also lied when he denied he expected quick and favorable responses from ComEd as to his demands, as well as when he claimed he only contemplating recommending then Alderman Daniel Solis to a lucrative state board position. Dan Solis, he wasn't shit either. He further lied, Blakely says, about the closeness of his relationship with Mike McLean, his longtime confidant and co-defendant. The evidence showed that McLean was one of Madigan's most trusted operatives, not just one lobbyist of many, as Madigan falsely testified on the witness stand. Blakely said. Blakely ruling signaled the Madigan's risky decision to take the witness stand could backfire and lead to a harsher sentence. Early in the hearing, Assistant U.S. Attorney Julia Schwartz said Madigan lied purposely and to influence the jury's decision-making process to secure a not guilty verdict. One key falsehood, she said, that Madigan had no idea that associates were doing any work for ComEd. That was a lie, Schwartz said. Mr. Madigan set up these arrangements to pay these people for these low and no-show jobs. Wiretaps in the case show that Madigan thought it was great. Schwartz argued, pointing also to the recording where Madigan laughed with a colleague about some of his people making out like bandits at the utility. Madigan attorney Laurie Dirks argued, however, that Madigan should not get a perjury enhancement for his testimony because there was nothing in the record showing anything he said was intentionally untruthful, which prosecutors have to show. Here, Mike took the stand. He subjected himself to vigorous cross-examination, and the government has put forth no evidence that he willfully lied, Dirks said. Dirks also said that it's notable that 134 people wrote to the court and shared that Madigan is known for being truthful. His word is his bond. Honesty is important to him, Dirks said. I would like to see all 134 people so I can tell y'all exactly who they're all some shit. Madigan, 83, who for years was widely hailed as the most powerful politician in the state, entered the Durkin U.S. courthouse just after 12:30 p.m., giving a slight smile as he strolled past a horde of television cameras with his lawyers and family members without comment. Carrying a briefcase and umbrella, he then headed to the 12th floor courtroom of U.S. District Judge John Robert Blakely. Blakely courtroom quickly filled to capacity and spectators were being directed to an overflow room on the 14th floor. The hearing began with the Assistant U.S. Attorney Sarah Streaker telling the judge that after the sentence is imposed, the government will move to dismiss the remaining 6 counts where the jury was deadlocked. Before arguments began, the judge called Madigan up to the lectern. Good afternoon, sir. How are you? Blakely said. Madigan, dressed in a dark gray suit and a red tie, adjusted the microphone and chuckled. Been better, right? Blakely said with a laugh of his own. Blakely then told Madigan sentencing the most difficult process for everyone, including him and his family. The hearing was expected to last 2 hours or more. Before hearing arguments, Blakely first determined the sentencing guidelines in the case, though it's no longer mandatory for him to follow them. Before the judge imposed the sentence, the famously former speaker will be given a chance to make a statement of his own. So yes, this was it happened to be on the 13th of June, which is Friday the 13th. And he is absolutely, I'm glad. He was a cancer in the Illinois government. He should have been locked up a long time ago, along with Ed Burke and Jack. I remember one time my mom said that she went to go see Jesse White, and they used to, when anytime he used to call, because he used to be a op against Jesse White. When Jesse White first ran for Secretary of State, there was a person who was running against Jesse White at the time who was a Republican, and they were going to go with the white Republican before going with Jesse White. That's like I said, Madigan's are old racist. But anyway, Jesse White got the support of Black Chicago and ended up still being Secretary of State. But when my mom, one time was in there, they used to talk on flip phones. Okay, that man is super corrupt. He belongs in prison. I hope that he lasts his 7.5 years in there. Only thing I don't like is that they did not take his pension, so I know he told on someone bigger. But the fact that he got 7.5 years is a victory, and meaning that that the system is broke. The machine is broken. I've been saying that for a long time. I say that with Miss Jessica, and I do believe that me and Miss Jessica broke that system. We killed that system, and along with the help of others, including you, Danny, Mr. Blakemore, Michael Young Bay, Mark Carter, Tyrone Muhammad. Like I said, it was a effort, a group effort. You know, at the end of the day, like
it was chipping. It was everybody had their little part and chipping away. You know what I'm saying? Chipping away. It was like you said, everybody. You all did you all did the really. You all broke the head, and everybody just came and did a little piece, at a time. So yeah.
I appreciate. So yes. So I will. I'm going out of town for a couple of days. So I am going to do a personal YouTube live again about Mike Madigan and just the whole machine and the system, because I studied him, including his corrupt daughter that also needs to be in prison. She put a charge on my mama just because my mother was fighting this city. She did a favor for someone who has been still trying to get this land. So that's a whole nother situation. We'll talk about that later. But I'm super excited because we have a lady by the name of Denise Long. She's a queen. I have I was happy to see that she was running for a U.S. Senate Durban seat. I was peeking around, just making sure that she wasn't part of the system, because that's one thing they try to do is this system here is so broken. So they try to continue to keep these established corruption.
Let's open it.
Yeah. So I was happy to. So I was doing my homework, and I was very, very happy to see when she followed me and I followed back. I was excited, and I'm glad to really have this conversation. I'm honored that she's taking the time to do this. She's a very, very intelligent woman. She's super smart. She's charismatic, and I've met her. I was by accident last week with Mama Doris. They were having lunch at Messler. Shout out to Sophie Hotel. They probably see us all the time. But I was glad to see her. So she's here. I see her backstage. Woo! And I'm going to bring her on stage. But please, like and subscribe, and please, let's get into it. Miss Pamela Denise Long, she is here, and I'm going to add her to the stage. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can y'all hear?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you both. I know Danny, we hadn't met yet in person, but Zoe and I, like she said, we just happened to meet, and people keep saying that there's divine timing happening because we happen to be in the same place. Though we talked on Twitter, I didn't know she was there. Things are just moving in the way that I think they're supposed to be. And the Lord's work is needing to be done in Illinois, and I'm all here for it. And I know y'all are as well. So thank you for all that you've been doing to shine a light on the hypocrisy and all the other things that need to be changed.
And let me just say this, you all got to really watch the people who's running. Like Zoe was just saying, They come in sheep's clothing, but they're really wolves. So make sure that you all, there are a lot of people that's running under the Republican and things like that. You have to watch these people and just go and look at our videos. Do the homework on the people who's running. Make sure you do the homework and see for yourself. We do not want to put rhinos in. We do not want to put people who's not good for Illinois. So thank you, Denise Long. Thank you for being here. And thank you for standing up strong and being who you are. Yeah. Okay, and representing us well.
Thank you. I'm doing everything that I can, and I'm here for the fight, and it's going to be a fight, and I've never shied away from one that was worth it, and Illinois is absolutely worth it.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to do just a quick bio on Miss. I like to call you Dr. Long. Man. I like the doctor, but
Dr. Long. Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Long.
I'll take that.
Pamela Denise Long is a candidate for U.S. Senate in Illinois in 2026, hailing out of Madison County, Illinois, Edwardsville. Denise is running to win the seat held by Democrat Dick Durbin. She is a seven plus generation American, principal consultant of youth-centric, doctor of organizational development, award-winning business consultant for implementing trauma-informed diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism, and advocate for affirmative action, and political commentator featured on the what's it called? Griot. Politics and Black News channel, her Newsweek column, Fox News, what's it? Breitbart, WLSAM. Breitbart. Yeah. Right. I'll just start becoming I started doing interviews. The Answer, WVON 1619 AM, Chicago, aka the voice of the Negro. WVON that's a whole nother situation. But yes, thank you. I am new to this. You're my first political candidate to interview. Well, me and Danielle, we usually talk about how terrible these aldermen are, or state representatives, or anything. So we're glad to have you for a change. And one of the things that I want to talk about is, and I think I learned that today when I was in the barbershop, we really don't know our roles as far as we're voting for people who are the mayor, the senator, the governor, the alderman, but we really don't know what those roles are. So you're running as U.S. Senator. I can read up on it, or if you want to talk to us about what the U.S. Senator is and what does it cover.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a brilliant question. And I don't think anyone has ever asked me that, but it's one that people assume voters know what that means. But I think there are some ways we take that for granted. So the U.S. Senate is one of the two houses of the federal Congress. So there's the House of Representatives, which has about 435 members. It's based on districts, population size within the state. And then the Senate has 2 senators from each state. So there are just 100 of us in the U.S. Senate. And yes, I'm going to go ahead and say us, and I'm going to claim it. And the U.S. Senate is considered the upper chamber in Congress. And the idea with the framers was that the U.S. Senate would be, connected to the people because they're designed to represent the people, but also they're supposed to be the measured, deliberative body that's designed to look at the policies that are proposed by the representatives in the House and look at the impacts that those policies would have across the United States as well. So they're supposed to be exceptionally deliberative. In my analysis, they're supposed to have a deep understanding of the issues in the nation, the policies that the nation needs. So a few things that the Senate does: they're heavily involved with the vetting and confirmation of the folks the president wants to nominate for various executive roles. They're exceptionally involved with investigating, vetting, and confirming candidates for judicial candidates. So people who are going to be on the Supreme Court, as well as in the other court, at the district courts in the federal judicial system that the president wants to appoint. The Senate also provides a public forum space for really significant social issues to be discussed and to be investigated. We call forth subject matter experts to talk about those issues in terms of, projections from an economic standpoint, from a standpoint of, the impacts that proposed policies or current practices even are having on the people. We are also designed to, which I haven't seen a great use of, but we have the capacity to provide technical assistance and implementation guidance to states as well as to federal agencies about how policies that are proposed can be have the least negative and most positive impact on the people. The Senate also does quite a bit in terms of government accountability, including censure and impeachment and things like that. So the House will kind of be the space in which the articles of impeachment are drawn up and whatnot, and the Senate is the place in which that's adjudicated. So the houses are very connected, but they definitely have unique roles. One of the things that I like about the Senate is that the pace of it moves slower. The House is really, as some people would describe it, really chaotic. The Senate is more measured. They theoretically move slower. There are fewer of us in the U.S. Senate, so that allows an opportunity for people to develop real significant relationships. And what I also like is that they are supposed to delve deeply into topics rather than moving super fast with 435 people having all these sort of conflicting interests. The Senate allows you to dig deep, which really taps into my sort of researcher perspective, as well as the real world problem solving I bring from working in healthcare, working in education, both pre-K through 12, as well as being an adjunct faculty member at the college here in Edwardsville, and my work in organizational development and consulting with politicians and political organizations.
Oh, that was amazing, because a lot of times, and this is what I think we really have to educate the people on, like the different roles, because a lot of times people like, Zoe, that was amazing what you did with the alderman role, because the people what we were seeing in the chat, they didn't even know their aldermen supposed to do the things that they were doing, and supposed to be like right here in your house type of person to push out policies of what representing you. So that's just great what you said. Now I just want to ask you one question. So if we had the House, the representatives, the Illinois representatives that we have, how important it is for us to make sure, just for you, your opinion, how important is it for us to make sure that we vote the people in that's going to represent the House representatives of Illinois?
Oh my goodness, it is critically important. I mean, people say all politics is local, and I say that's half true. All politics is local, state, and national. Like, they always go together. And so you can't just focus on the national, you can't just focus on the state, and you can't just focus on the local. You have to be involved with all of it. And I think I heard somebody say the other day that elections are happening all the time, right? So politics isn't just, and being politically involved isn't just showing up on election day. It's also holding people accountable. It's meeting with people when they're attempting to run, talk about their principles, priorities, vetting them. What have they done in the past, and really looking at their record, so to speak. So it's critically important that people show up and vote. First of all, you got to be registered. You got to be registered to vote. It's important that you show up to vote and that you really know the people, what their priorities are that you are going to be voting for. Because ultimately, if you aren't voting for people who are going to represent your interest, then you are being represented by what? You're not being accurately represented, because you can't assume people know what you need and want and what the critical needs are in your community. You have to tell them, and you have to hold them to account. When they get it right, call them, champion them, say, great job. I love that you voted yes or no on this and that and the other, but you got to be continually engaged in the process.
That's good.
So what do you think are the most critical issues that we're dealing with in the state of Illinois?
Yeah. Ooh, so many. Where do I start? Mass immigration. We have let in the equivalent under Joe Biden. We let in allegedly 10 million. I question that number. I think it's higher, but let's go with 10. Nice round number. 10 million people. That is the equivalent of what? 3 to 4 new Chicagos that just popped up in the United States of America in 4 years, right? And Chicago was founded when? A couple hundred years ago, at least.
Yeah.
So in 4 years, we've cropped up 3 to 4 Chicagos. That's a huge problem. I think lack of representation, particularly in Chicago, but I talk to people around the state and there are ways in which they feel that they are not being adequately represented. I was talking to an official the other day in a fairly rural county, a city in a rural county in Illinois. And, he was saying one of the things I need help with is just for somebody to tell me how to find grant money because my roads are falling apart, right? So representation, information, I think we need more jobs for people in Illinois, for folks who are outside the labor market, youth included. I define youth as, anywhere from 16 to, 28-ish. And yeah, and I think that we have a problem with, how do I say this? Difficulty balancing compassion for the difficult lives that people have had for many reasons, including Democrat rule and all the other things that I mentioned. So a difficulty balancing compassion and personal responsibility along with systemic accountability. There are some ways in which people have used trauma-informed care and trauma-informed practices, and they've freed people from accountability through the justice system, that those folks would be better, the community and the person who has offended would be better served getting habilitated or rehabilitated in a carceral setting. So I'm thinking about the Safety Act, for example, and some other things like that. So and I think another thing, I will say this in regard to politics, I think we're suffering from a feeling of apathy and divestment on the Republican side. And I would even say people who tend to vote blue are feeling like, where is my voice and who is actually representing the things that, affect my bread and butter and my kitchen table issues.
I like that. It's an uncomfortable truth, but now you're right. You're right, Dr. Long. Why Republican?
Yeah, so I've been a Republican. I originally joined the Republican Party when I was living in North St. Louis County in the burbs over there. I joined in 2007 or 2008. It was when Barack Obama was running for the first time. I had some concerns by some of the loose language when it came to LGBTQIA+. And I think now we see the plus part and kind of like there were no boundaries on all of that. And now we see some of the manifestations with people saying 2-year-olds have a sexual identity and sexual drive and they can choose if they're going to be a girl or boy and all the other craziness that people have bastardized when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion. So, I joined at that time. It was a chaotic time in politics. I think that there was a lot happening. I voted for McCain Palin over Barack Obama the first time that he ran. I've voted for Democrats and Republicans in my career. I'm not a straitjacket thinker. I'm an independent-minded person, and I really look at the person. So I don't worship a personality. I don't worship a party. I really look at the politics. However, my values, my principles, the things that I've been writing about for years, the things that I've been advocating for years, really call the Republican Party to reinvigorate their historically significant relationship with the Black American community. And when I say Black American, I'm talking about those of us who descend from the originally enslaved population, the survivors of Jim Crow, which we know just ended in 1970. So I'm talking about those folks that the Republican Party was originally codified to actually serve, address, and champion. And so my running as a Republican is just a through line to an exemplification of my values and the things that I have advocated for across the years. And I really decided that I'm not going to let any of the loudmouths in social media who advocate for weird stuff when it comes to being a so-called conservative turn me off from the party that is my party. I'm going to name it and I'm going to claim it. I am a Republican. I am particularly an original radical Republican. I think our country is best served by serving the middle. And I don't mean being, mush mouth about really significant issues of the day. What I mean is like not being on the extreme, like the left turning DEI into some weird perverted thing where their drag queens are reading the kids in libraries. Like, how does that better the nation? And not something where on the right, social media influencers are advocating for, free speech to say the N word because everybody should say it. Like, that's not a representation, I think, of most of us. Most of us want unity. Most of us want to be at peace with our neighbors. Most of us want to have conversations and not get canceled for simply talking about difficult topics. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to claim, we're going to say that you're going to get this job.
Period.
We're going to get this right. So, okay. So, how important, because we keep pushing to Chicago, Illinois people, if they want to make a change, we have to vote different. Because let's just say you get in, but we keep voting for a Democrat mayor, a Democrat governor, a Democrat representative. Then you are trying to fight for us up there, but we haven't given you anything to go on. You're just leaving on the hill by yourself. So how important it is to let people know that they have to change the way they're vote, basically flipping Chicago, Illinois red, and to make your job even easier to do.
Yeah, no, that's so brilliant. Yes, absolutely. So there are several things baked into what you said there. Yes, it would make my job easier to do, to have colleagues that I can actually work with. Now, I can work with Democrats, I can work with Republicans, but we know that there are so many people who are so committed to the party politics and the partisanship that they won't even be seen having lunch with a Republican out in public, right? Yeah. And so it would be easier to work with someone who shares the value of critical dialogue, who shares the value of viewpoint diversity. So, and I would love to be on the Hill, but have partners here in the state Senate, in the state house, in the governor's mansion, who I can work with and just have real synergy in terms of driving resources to the Illinoisans, and also them letting me know what's going on in the community. So, and that's the kind of leadership that I want. I don't want to be in Capitol Hill by myself, disconnected from the people, and I only come home every now and then. I want to have a hotline where the governor can call, where the senators and House of Representatives can call as well, in addition to the people, so that we can just get some things done, because Illinois is falling apart. We're losing people by the droves. I think I posted something the other day from research, like every 9 minutes and 20 seconds, somebody leaves the state of Illinois. There's just a lot going on here that needs to be fixed. And the definition of insanity, I think Albert Einstein said this, is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So absolutely, we can't continue to let people, anybody, no party, take our vote for granted. As a matter of fact, one of the first articles I wrote for Newsweek in my column there was, it's time for Black Americans to divorce the Democratic Party. And it is. You can't be married to any party. You have permanent interest, and even sometimes your interests change as you get, as you move through life. So, but you don't have an allegiance to any party. You need to vote for the people who are going to best represent you. And one more thing, I tell people all the time, you are voting for me, Pamela Denise Long. And what I have highlighted, my record of supporting the folks of Illinois, defending the people in Chicago, the people of Chicago, you're voting for me. You're not voting for a Republican. You're not voting for a woman. You're voting for me and my wholeness and my record of doing what needs to be done, saying what needs to be said, speaking truth to power, regardless of the person who needs to hear it. That's what you're voting for.
Exactly. That's perfect.
There's a lot of questions. We're going to do those at the end. So all the questions that you guys have, let's put that over on the little chat.
I love it.
Try to get to as many as possible. We probably will not be able to get to them all because we are very busy. We got to save America. We got to save Illinois, actually.
Illinois, yes.
I was reading. So first of all, how many children do you have?
Yeah, so I have one daughter. She will be 24 this year. She graduated from college. Yay. And so, yeah, and that is another thing. I just wanted to create as stable and undisrupted of a home environment as possible until she got through all of college and everything. So, I finished my doctoral work, and it's just, he resigned and everything just opened up because it's time. So I have one.
Did you homeschool her?
I did. I homeschooled for about a year and a half, thereabouts, in middle school. It was a really interesting time. We did some unschooling actually, because there's this period of time where I was noticing that there was like this impulse to just like get the right answer and be really anxious about getting the right answer and not getting it wrong. So we had to go through this period of like play and having fun and reading and all this other stuff to get rid of this sort of industrialized way of answering questions. And that blossomed into creativity, reading and writing and thinking outside the box and all of that kind of stuff. So homeschooling is really important to me. I think for many families, it's not an option for, financial reasons and the like. Usually that finances and time, it's not an option. But if one is able to homeschool, I highly recommend it for any period of time, particularly in those sort of developmental ages and stages. And we know that homeschool kids tend to do much better than even private school and public school children.
Yeah, my mom homeschooled me.
Oh, cool.
I think it was first grade. First grade, it was hooked. What she did, it was like she went and got some hooked on phonics, and then it was another one too. But she was in the, she was a businesswoman, so I was trying to do all that. So she had to put me back in private school, but it was fun for the like. I think she did it for like about 6-7 months.
Okay. That's good. And you remember, and that was a really formative time for you, right? Yeah. It brought me and my daughter, we're really close, but it brought us closer as well. We got to spend a lot of time together. And she even talks about that to this day, like some of what that was like for our relationship, as well as, her reflecting as an adult now on what it was like for her in terms of learning and creativity and the like. You asked me earlier about struggles in Illinois. We also have a big struggle, a House of Representatives, or I say a Congress in Illinois that is just committed to hamstringing homeschool parents. That homeschool bill failed, thank goodness. And they also baked into that homeschool bill, which many people didn't notice, a provision about gun ownership. Because if your home is a school, then that gives them the right to regulate your gun ownership, because schools and gun ownership kind of don't go together. And so both of those provisions failed, but they're going to come back for homeschoolers again, and they're going to try to find a way to once again circumscribe your right to own a firearm
as well.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask. I was just looking at Mama Doris. Let me ask you something. It's going to be very, very important, because this is like the number one issue we're dealing with all over the United States. Period. Okay, just your thought, and I'm just looking at on sanctuary cities, laws and immigration, because that's like number one things we're dealing with. Period, in Chicago, Illinois, all over the USA.
Yeah. Yeah, sanctuary cities for illegal aliens, people who broke the law to enter the United States, which is a crime, or people who intentionally overstayed their visa. Like, how long your visa lasted for you to come to the United States, and it wasn't no 20 years. So let's be serious. There should not be a space where people get to violate our immigration laws willy-nilly, nor should any elected official who took an oath to the Constitution. And the Constitution says many things in the Bill of Rights and its various amendments, but it also binds you to implementing the laws of the U.S. Congress. And one of the laws of the U.S. Congress says that the United States will have operational control of our border, meaning we decide who gets in, who has to go, when they got to leave, how quick they got to leave, and who gets to stay or not, And so when we have sanctuary cities and sanctuary spaces, we're basically thumbing our nose to the Constitution violation. It's breaking many laws, including incentivizing, aiding, and abetting people to violate federal law. And it's certainly putting Americans last when you have these offices of New Americans, which provide all these free giveaways that we don't get. Anybody paying your lawyer bill? Anybody providing you with health care for free? And so they shouldn't exist, is my thought. And people who support them need to be held accountable. And I know Pritzker was just testifying before Congress.
He was lying, but
right. Yeah, he said he didn't know. He said he didn't know how much illegal immigration costs in Illinois.
And Byron Donald said, yeah, you and the mayor didn't know either. Right. That's something y'all have in common in Illinois. Don't nobody know nothing. Yeah.
Right.
So
Byron cooked it. He cooked it. And I was so proud, honestly, of most all of the representatives who really came out and questioned the witnesses and had them stand on their record, both their tweets, their policies, the bills that you signed into law, the things that you didn't advocate to get rescinded. So Rauner, a Republican, signed the act that allowed for illegal illegal immigration, sanctuary status, essentially, where law enforcement cannot contribute to aiding identifying illegal aliens. But did you advocate to get it overturned? And did you put money on it? You did. You funded it. So you supported the law, even though you tried to throw it on Rauner. So
right.
Oh, well, you all. So now y'all here. Everybody, that's a big issue now. You hear Dr. Denise saying, hey, she not for that. Okay, this is what we need. We need people in office that's going to represent us. We the people. Great. Okay.
Farming. So it says you were one of the 150.
Yeah. So I grew up in Mississippi, literally in the middle of a cotton field on land that we used to own. When I was a kid, we had geese, and those geese were terrible. Geese are so aggressive, like sis. We had geese, we had chickens, we had pigs that we used to slop. And then my cousins across the way, they also had horses. So, and all kinds of fruit trees. So love all of that. And then when I moved to Illinois, I moved on to our family farm, which this year would have been 175 years in our family. We had to sell it a couple years ago. But yes, it's the place where the kids grew up, riding the 5-wheeler in the pasture with the cows and the horses and all that kind of stuff. And, I have such a soft spot in my heart for people who are of the soil in so many ways. Folks who raise their kids out in the country, who get to play all day, and Lord knows how they even survive, because we were all off into the woods and the bayous and everything. And it was just a wonderful way to grow up. And I also know that it's hard. It can be very hard to make a solid living as a farmer and to pass your farm on to the next generation. And in the United States, we absolutely need farms that are committed to growing nutrient-rich food for us to consume. And I don't know about you, but I like the fact that when I drive from downstate up to Chicago, that I see, all the cornfields and the, soybean. I really like that. And I feel like it's just a clean, wholesome environment. So there's some things that we can do. And they did some of this in the Big Beautiful Bill with allowing farmers to have an increased sort of base on their crops so that they can also get higher rates for reimbursement for if they have any kind of crop loss from flooding or whatever the case may be. And there's a special thing that I want to look at regarding farming, which is how the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, and something called the National Environmental Policy Act work together to maybe constrict how farmers use their land. So I can appreciate environmental protections, but I also want to make sure how that is being utilized, because it seems to be a problem for what farmers are reporting.
Yeah, that's what I have my main fight in all of this, how I got into, is land and eminent domain. But when I was protesting outside, there was a lady, it's a older white lady would come by every day, and she would say, they're taking the farms. And I would go and I would research, because in the urban areas, they're taking our properties, they're taking our land, and then in the rural areas, they are taking farming land. But it was great to thank you for letting us know that President Trump and Congress, they put something. Well, President Trump though, but put something in there for the farming as far as if they do laws for their crops and stuff, because I don't think people even know what the word crops is anymore. But because they try to find every little thing. Right now, he's taking Medicaid. He's not, but he's taking Medicaid. But they're not. But they're not talking about what you were just talking about. He made sure that there's some type of protection in there for the loss of crops, which is important.
Yeah, very much so. It is important. And speaking on the Medicaid issue,
yeah, can you talk to us about that, please? From a freedman point of view, from a person who's running for U.S. Senate, can you please break down this Medicaid? Please, I just please.
Yeah, because Zoe, she got.
I'm about to start fighting people.
So I'll address the concerns and then I'll address the positives. So one of the things people are concerned about, including my soon-to-be colleague Josh Hawley out of Missouri, is concerned about is Medicaid cuts that might affect rural access to healthcare in rural environments. So that's something that the Senate can address, because now it's on their desk to sort of mitigate any impacts in that regard. And then some people have also talked about the CHIPS Act, which is the Children Health Insurance Plan. Now, we also need to recognize when people say that, which children are we talking about? Because we've been paying for healthcare for illegal aliens as well, right? And their children. We are already, the Supreme Court told us we got to pay for the education of illegal alien children, including English as a second language and all the additional supports that they need. And we pay for their healthcare as well. So, I'm a compassionate person. I feel like I have to say this. I'm really a good person. And at the same time, there are plenty of American kids who don't have insurance. So,
Right.
Yeah. And so, no, illegal aliens, we should not be, taxpayers should not be paying for the healthcare of any illegal alien, regardless of their age. So on the positive side of Medicaid is work requirements. And I have to tell you, I've evolved I'm 52. So however many years I've been an adult, don't stress me on the math of it all, but it's been a minute. I've evolved on that issue, and I've really realized that there are many people who are milking the system when it comes to Medicaid. And there are able-bodied people who are multi-generationally on Medicaid. It ain't for that. It's not a trust fund. Like, what are we doing here? It is for people who temporarily need the social safety net. It is not supposed to be a hammock. I was joking with somebody about that before, where you just hanging out on the Medicaid, lawn. Like, no, that's not how that works. So I support work requirements for a Medicaid, and sure, we can do that in many ways in terms of implementing it, but it needs to be temporary and not a long-term fix for your financial shortfall. So how do we make sure that we are paying livable wages? How do we make sure that people are maximizing their education and their own ability so that they can get the jobs that develop them, so they are ensuring that they get the maximum wage that they're capable of as well. So there are many other things that we can do, including getting rid of illegal aliens, so that people are recruited at higher rates and their wages are paid at a higher wage, because the labor market's not so full of all these people that companies have to recruit and pay you really well.
Yes, that's excellent. Excellent.
I agree, because we live in it's a legal immigration Ponzi scheme. It's the same thing like you were saying about generational Medicaid. That's the same thing with Section 8. Like, there is a whole program to get you a home. Like, that's the goal. And people have not even made it to that part. They don't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to apply themselves. So I do feel like it should be some type of limit.
Yes.
So you got 2 years to get yourself into this home and graduate from Section 8. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. I remember when I was attending UIC, so Circle Campus downtown, they were tearing down one of the projects. And I remember seeing this woman sobbing on the news saying, my grandmama used to live here, my mama used to live here, I was born here, and y'all are tearing down my home. And I was thinking, damn, that was like the light on moment for me, where I realized we have people who've spent 3 generations in the projects and they're crying. They truly feel like that is their home. Like, no one has pointed to on-ramps, or they haven't had the opportunity or modeling or whatever to get an on-ramp for not living in that situation. And, you know, so it has to change. We have to make it so that people have higher expectations and standards for the next generation, and they have the tools that they need to actually make like their next branch of their family tree to be more resourced, to be more economically self-sufficient. We have to do that. And I think that's where that critical piece of being tapped into and connected to the community and community organizations and community voice to help people do that, to push people to do that, to hold people accountable to do that is necessary.
Okay.
I want to discuss your platform about economic growth, about replacing the federal income tax. Can you briefly talk about that?
Yeah, I want it gone. We haven't had a federal income tax for the 100% of our founding. You know, Lincoln implemented one for a bit for the Civil War. And then in the 1900s, it just kind of became a regular thing. I would prefer that we have a consumption tax that has specific exclusions, meaning these items aren't taxed point blank period ever. And then some exemptions where during certain periods of time, these items that would normally be taxed are not taxed. I don't think people should be paying consumption tax on rentals. Like that proposal that the Illinois House wanted to tax you $1.50 for every package delivered to your house, I think is insane. The idea that we would be taxing things that people need for their basic living, as well as stuff that they need to just be, you know, their activities of daily living, to be groomed. I don't think we should be paying taxes on, you know, toothpaste and diapers and rentals and haircuts. And I don't. I think luxury items and or purely discretionary or generally discretionary items, we should pay consumption tax on, but not basic living. So, you know, part of the pushback on a national consumption tax is how do we go about classifying the items? Do we list every single item, which would be almost impossible, or do we do it categorically? And what does it look like when it comes to the sales tax, sales and local tax, the salt tax cap, for example, and how that relates to a consumption tax? And I do think there should be a limit on consumption tax. So there's a lot of the mechanics of it, the technical aspects of it that can certainly be easily worked out. We got some brilliant big minds in Washington, D.C., including those in the Government Accountability Office, the Congressional Budget Office, and even the President, the Executive Office of Management and Budget, that we can run through these different scenarios and structures to make it work feasibly for people. I also, in the One Big Beautiful Bill, they proposed a $40,000 sort of write-off on your income tax for the sales and local tax that you pay at the state and local level. $40,000 is incredibly generous. I think in most of upper, you know, the Chicago area and the collar counties, that's a house of anywhere from $1.5 million to $2.5 million. Most people don't live in that level of housing. But for some other folks, being able to write off up to $40,000, meaning you write off all of your property tax on your federal income tax, could be a real game changer for them, for retirement planning, for maintaining their home, you know, in terms of roofing and improvements to increase property values and the like. So that's something that the Senate needs to work out as well. And I think we're probably going to be revisiting the whole idea of abolishing the federal income tax and replacing it with something else for some time, unless Trump is going to pull the trigger And I understand with the guy that he is nominating for overseeing the IRS, his last name is Long, no relation that I'm aware of. I think he has been an advocate for abolishing the income tax. So we'll see where they go with that.
Oh yeah, that's good. Let me get this question, because it seems like people really want you to answer this question. Okay, so it says for the veterans, especially ask Dr. Long her plan for us veterans, more especially Black veterans who are being screwed and denied benefits. See, so I see that keep coming up, and they saying, please make sure you ask her this, please. So
yeah, so I'd love to learn more about the specifics of what people are experiencing. I've talked to some veterans before. One of the things that I've heard talked about recently, actually, was that veterans have to choose between giving up their vet benefits or choosing a marketplace system. And if they're on the VA system, their marketplace premium is in the thousands of dollars. And if they were going to get it lower, they'd have to permanently get rid of their VA benefits, which I find to be an odd sort of choice. Yeah. So I'm not sure if people on the call or on the live stream are experiencing that. One of the things that has greatly concerned me is the quality of buildings and service in some of our VA hospitals and systems, and the wait that people experience for specific to some types of services. I've also been greatly concerned that a large number of our homeless population are veterans. And so we're housing illegal aliens and giving them all this free stuff, but the people who fought to make our country free don't get what they need in terms of mental health supports and the other things. Because I can only imagine, I'm not a veteran, and I can only imagine what vets have gone through the process from a mental health perspective, through the process of being in the war theater. So those are some things that I definitely want to take a look at in the U.S. Senate. And I'd welcome any vet to reach out to me on my website. There's a contact form there. That web address is longforsenate2026.com. That's LONGFOR Senate 2026.com. Reach out to me and let me know what the concerns are that you're seeing as a veteran, so that I can make sure that I build out a better understanding of what it is you need from me as your U.S. Senator.
I put that in the chat too, guys. So you already know that. How about the lineage-based investment?
Yeah. So DEI is off the rails, and anyone can come to the United States right? Anyone can come to the United States and claim to be a minority or a person of color. And really what those people are doing is grifting off the promises that our government made to us as a founding Black population of the United States.
Yes.
So I'm 7th generation American plus, because the more I look, the more I find. And so my people go back from the early 1800s to the 1700s. And what I've observed in all of this work around DEI is that what was originally a plan to include the American Negro in the economic and educational fabric of America, John F. Kennedy, particularly in 1960, has become this sort of free-for-all where anybody, somebody with an unusual religion, somebody who chooses to identify as a woman, though their sex is a man, is a minority. And they all, right. And it's just, it doesn't make any sense. The government didn't promise repair or affirmative action or special dispensation to people from Nigeria. They promised it to the American Negro.
Say it.
Right. And so when I say lineage investment, what I'm talking about is making sure that the people who were promised the redress, promised the dispensation to make up for 247 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow that just ended in 1970. I was born in 1973. That those people get that redress. Now, as I've conceptualized both reparations, yes, I'm pro reparations. Everybody knows that.
Say that again, because you know what? It was a question asked.
Okay.
about that.
Yeah, I am pro reparations, and what that means to me again is first and one of the things, big thing is stop making everybody a minority. You would save a lot of money there. First of all, somebody who comes from some tiny country in the middle of nowhere can come over here and claim to be a person of color and grift into the 1960s civil rights special dispensations for what? You weren't here, and not only were you not here, but you didn't experience the things that the country had the moral aptitude to provide to specific people. So
Right.
my concept is to relaunch the Freedmen's Bureau to make sure that the investments are going to Americans, because when you invest in us, our money stays here. It develops the nation, it develops communities. And what we would see is that targeted investment to Americans would change a lot of things that Democrats just hang their hat on, and they keep Black Americans in these impoverished sort of situations that have been going on for generations, multiple reasons, the history of the nation being one of those reasons, poor Democrat leadership, forgetting about even keeping track of Black Americans, right? As a population group. So my concept is to do targeted, monitored investment, drive that investment toward the people that need it through the Freedmen's Bureau. And it's like, do it efficiently and effectively so that you're not doing this shotgun throwing money all over the place. You're sending it to the people that were supposed to get it in the first place and haven't, in large part because of mass immigration, but also because people have latched onto it and everybody gets a piece of the pie.
Right. Oh, that's great. So that, for DEI, for the ones who keep mad at us, and we had Jesse Jackson going Target talking about DEI.
Right.
We told you all DEI, let that go. That don't benefit us. That benefit everybody who want to be people of color, marginalized community, anybody. That's right. Thank you for breaking that down.
Yeah, and it's crazy because even the people of color moniker and the BIPOC, which I absolutely hate, and I hated it when I first started using it, the people of color is a spin on colored people. Who were the colored people of the United States of America? So they're stealing the language. People are talking about a Juan Crow. Like, where'd Juan come from? It was Jim Crow. Mexicans have been white. Mexicans have been white since the 1848 Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo from the Mexican-American War. They literally are white legally. You can be as dark as me, but you're categorized as white if you are Mexican, and you are that by law, because in 1848, only white people could be citizens. So when we won the Mexican-American War, we paid Mexico $15 million. Sorry, California is no longer Mexico.
Thank you. Would you please? Okay, Dr. Long, please.
Can you rewind that? Can
you please rewind that? Because this just came up because of what's happening in LA. And one comment said, hey, you all talking about the Hispanic KKK and this and that. They stole that land from us from Mexico and things like that. So Californians in LA, Mexicans in LA should be doing this and blah, blah, blah. But thank you. Could you please say this again?
Yeah. So I don't know who they need to talk to, but we already closed that deal and the check's been cashed. It was $15 million paid through the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848. We also paid Mexico well over $3 million in debt relief. Mexico accepted that offer to close out the war. As a result of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexicans who were living in Mexico territory got to decide, do you want to be American or do you want to be Mexican? Pick a side of the border and make it happen. And so, and they were in that treaty, we had to classify Mexicans as white people so that they could access the nation as white people. Now, there were Anglo white folks over here who was like, baby, you ain't white, but yeah, legally you are, but you ain't really. And we can see that. So they did have some issues, but they were able to go to school as white. They were able to live in the military without segregated barracks as white. They were able to get an education as white. They were able to get home loans as white. So they did not experience America in the same way that American Negroes did. And then in 1965, so from 1848 to 1965, during our civil rights movement, then they came out as being so-called not white and wanting to be a part of the whole civil rights movement. there's a really great account on Twitter X called Latino Heroes, I think is what it's called, that talks all about this fallacy that Mexicans at the time in the United States had all the same hardships as American Negroes did.
Right. That's right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Long. Thank you. Thank you for clearing the air on this, because
And one thing I would say also, Danny, is that that $15 million plus 3, so 18, almost $19 million that we gave Mexico, we also purchased Louisiana territory from France for $15 million. We got less land with Mexico. The purchase of Mexican cession is what it was called. We got less land for more money, right? So for people to say that California should be Mexico, maybe it should, but it isn't. Because we bought it, we paid for it, it's part of the United States, and you don't get to reverse conquest the United States of America and firebomb Black Americans out of their homes. Because let's talk about the headlines related to that.
That's great to hear that, understand that, and people do need to look that up, because that's something that I'm starting to understand it, but. Thank you for this history lesson that we all need to know. Because my thing is, and like Mama Doris is saying, I don't see France over in New Orleans or Louisiana, Baton Rouge or New Orleans, marching. These are our streets. These are our streets. I mean, we were down there, Tuesday for the Ice Out. And
I saw y'all. Nice work.
Thank you. They literally were saying, this is our streets. These are our streets. It's a whole bunch of illegals and trans. I'm confused. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's an interesting marriage.
I want to, if brief, I know it's off topic. Well, it's not off topic. It's about the Lynch, but the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. And maybe a few words. Can you talk about how important those amendments are when it comes to the Civil War, freedmen?
Yeah, they are the thing. So the 13th Amendment, of course, abolished slavery with the exception for punishment for crimes. So that, with the exception, was a compromise for the South, the Confederates, in order for them to sort of accept it and eventually ratify it in every state as an amendment. Every state had to ratify it. And then the 14th Amendment is securing the birthright citizenship for the emancipated slaves and the freed Negroes and their descendants. When you hear people talking about, and then it has 5 clauses in it, but I'm just going to talk about that one for a moment. When you hear people talk about ending birthright citizenship, I'm telling you, no, baby, don't say that. Right? Like, that's not what we're doing over here. We're not ending birthright citizenship. What we're doing is making sure that people who are not supposed to be included in birthright citizenship don't get birthright citizenship. So what that means in practical terms is kind of what Donald Trump had advocated for, that if someone who is not a permanent legal resident of the United States of America births a child within the United States of America and its territories, they will get a certificate of live birth, but that certificate of live birth will say not valid for U.S. citizenship, and all electronic systems and departments, Health and Human Services, Social Security, and the like, would know that that is just simply a certificate that shows your baby was born over here, but they are not a U.S. citizen, because the framers of the 14th Amendment were very, very clear that this amendment is for the free Negroes whose citizenship and ability to re-enslave them was in question at the time, and for the emancipated slaves and the children of both of those populations. It was not for aliens who are under the jurisdiction of another country. They said that very clearly. Now, to the extent that other Supreme Court justices who came after the framers of Reconstruction said what they said about their intent. And now, mind you, they said this in the congressional minutes, and on paper, they said the people born in. So they were some people try to say when they say people, they meant anybody in the United States who comes to in the world. That clearly is not what it's clear to me. But anyway,
they made for May, the May 12th. Was it May? It was May, the the 14th Amendment hearing.
They had several debates, and I can't remember the exact day in the minutes, but there's a time in which they are talking about aliens and who is included in the birthright citizenship element, and excluding people who are under the jurisdiction of another country. So to the extent that Supreme Court justices, after those framers talked about their original intent, that they've extended that to other peoples, they are in defiance of the original intent. Anybody can read what the framers were talking about because it's all documented. So for any justice to go in and be like, I don't know what they really meant, you're lying, because they wrote about it in the congressional record, which anybody can find online. And so the other clauses of that include taking a census and treating those free Negroes and the formerly enslaved as whole people and counting them as whole people versus counting them, as the other constitution said, as 3/5.
3/5.
Right. Or counting 3/5 of them, 3 out of 5 of the slaves. The reason they did the 3 out of 5 is because they didn't want the South to have control of the United States, because there were so many Black people enslaved in the South that they knew if they used all the slaves and all the white people to apportion representatives, that the South would basically control the United States and have all the power that they would need to extend slavery, because the framers also talked about that we do need to end this whole thing of slavery, but the South wasn't ready for that from an economic and moral perspective. So one of the challenges with the 14th Amendment and its census and counting apportionment of representatives based on the count of bodies, people in your area, is that I question and I believe that we are counting aliens, illegal aliens, and non-citizens in apportionment, which is why California has so many. And we're not supposed to count non-citizens in apportionment. So there are a lot of things that need to get worked out in terms of how our 14th Amendment has been used to say businesses are people too, has been used even for people to say that, you can't actually provide redress because the amendment that's designed to protect the Negro and give them redress says that you can't provide redress. It's a stretch of one's imagination and critical thinking for sure. But yeah, so those 14th Amendment, incredibly critical. And then the 15th Amendment, of course, was the one that gave Black men, essentially, the right to vote in the United States. Theoretically, that covered Black women as well, but people weren't giving Black women any access to anything. And they barely wanted to give Black men, and they didn't want to give Black men the right to vote. And then Black women were assured the right to vote with the passage of women's suffrage and the 19th Amendment. But yes, those 3 Reconstruction amendments, we've gotten away from their original intent. And I think what we need to really get to is claiming them, Zoe, really claiming them and saying, yes, we are those people. We them people, we them as people like to say, who this is for, written about, and who it's written for. So yes, Danny, we need to definitely get back to that.
And suggest to read Clarence Thomas, SCOTUS 2023, when he speaks about the affirmative action.
Yeah.
2023. So I started reading it. I'm going to read it more. I see what you're talking about. So I am going to go that way with, so thank you for that. So I suggest people who are watching, and I am going to put the link out there as well, but I see what you're talking about. But so moving back to everything, what is one of the challenges that you're dealing with as far as running as a Republican? And have you received anything yet? Has it been any shade? Let
me wet my whistle on that one. Okay. I don't scare easy. And I'm not scared. I of course, get pushback from Black folk who are like, "You're running as a Republican. Why would you do that with the white supremacist party?" Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I get pushback from Republicans who accuse me of being a Democrat, as if looking at the work that I put in over the last 3 to 4 years is something they don't know how to do.
Right.
Yeah. So there are some people who have access to my voter record within the GOP database, and it says I'm a white woman who voted for Hillary Clinton in the Democrat primary. I can't stand Hillary Clinton and haven't been able to stand Hillary Clinton for years and years and years. And if I did vote for her in the primary, which I did not, it would be so she in particular got a good beat down from the right. And I'm not white, in case y'all were wondering. So, and here's the thing. I think sometimes people get into this slavish mentality. If you haven't voted Republican from the time you turn 18, that you ain't a real one. Baby, let me tell you what I've been doing over the last 3 to 4 years. Okay?
Let's get into it.
I have been behind the scenes heavily involved. And when I say heavy, I mean capital H, EAVY, involved with advocacy around mass immigration, around advocating with Democrats and Republicans around their messaging related to mass immigration, around nuancing the talking points about mass immigration, about advocacy for policy related to mass immigration. I don't need to call names, but when you know, you know. And I've been heavily involved with advocating for Black Americans to divorce the Democratic Party and to give the Republican Party a try, even though my party gets in the way and makes it hard sometimes. Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. We're saying it. Yes, absolutely right.
They be making it hard out here for a sister to say you can find a home and have a place of both leadership as well as just, if all you want to do is show up and vote, you can do that. If you want to lead and run a precinct or whatever, you can do that. Sometimes the people that they give the mic to make it hard for people to feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people want you to worship a personality and never call people out. I be calling people out. Like, I'm gonna champion you when you getting it right, but when you getting it wrong and you're off conservative or Republican principles, I'm gonna call it out.
That's right.
Now, the difference between U.S. Senator Long and Pamela Denise Long on Twitter X is I got your phone number and I'm gonna call your staff and we're gonna sit in your office on the Capitol Hill and or in the White House and we're gonna work it out behind closed doors, right? But I am not a worshiper of persons, personalities, nor parties. It's about policy, principle, and the Constitution of the United States for me. And that's the way that's gonna always be. Yeah.
Yeah, because see, that's what we keep saying and we're experiencing. That's why the Republican Party have not won anything in Chicago, Illinois, and things like that. Because I think they lack, and I know they lack community, getting it, coming into the community, talking to people, relating to people. Relating to people. And that's the thing that I believe that we come in at, because let me just be honest. Can no white man come in here and talk to us and tell us what we need to do? You know what I'm saying? We should vote different and this and that, because all we're going to do, how indoctrinated we have been, is to say you a white supremacist. You understand what I'm saying? You can't.
Yeah, I do.
Huh?
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. So in order to get us to even think, because most of us are conservative in nature, but we haven't. We just been taught vote blue no matter who. Grandma been telling us this and everything, but it don't make it better for the Republican Party not to make us feel inclusive. Right. You understand? So it takes us to get down in the gutter and get down to where we at and say, look, We are conservative in nature. This is who we are. We are not with this. And to get them to relate the principles, like you said, the principles and policies. And that's what I think that's the Republican Party is lacking, because instead of getting behind you and saying, hey, we need to get behind Dr. Long, then they don't do that. And that's the issue. Like you said, it's not there. They don't seem relatable. But I thank you for doing that. And we're looking at you, not the party, you, who you are.
Yeah, I said last year, before I made the conscious decision to align myself as a Republican, because like I said, I never was neither for any of the. I didn't care about politics until I had to get in this personal fight for my mom. My mom is my everything. So that was how I got into it. But to see how detrimental the Democratic Party is to Black America, and I try to explain to even white people, like, you may be okay, it may be good for you, but as far as Black people, as you see, our communities are still showing you that we're not doing well. As you see, the violence between, if you want to say Black on Black, we got Black on Black crime. We have, it's Black on Black crime when it comes to violence, politics, business. I mean, and it's, you cannot sit here and say that this is the Republican Party, because it's not. And what I see with the Republican Party is, Illinois specifically, is that they want to give you a paper. Here, little Negro, this is what you're going to do. If you want to be Republican, you're going to go by this, and this is how you're going to do it. This little paper is not doing anything. That's why y'all not getting anything here. So when I decided that I was going to go this way, not only am I going to support Trump, because I had Trump 4 years before and I didn't see the issue, and I was living in a red state at that time. I was living in Georgia. I also saw that both parties are trash, so you have to revamp it. And my goal, and I think that I'm doing an amazing job at it with Chicago Fizz Red, is branding it, making this the new Republican Party for this generation.
Yes,
we are independent. We have independent mind thinkers. I feel like, Ms. Denise, I feel like you coming, speaking with you, you have an independent mindset. You come from a whole nother place. You're super educated. You understand about the farming. You understand about the homeschooling. You understand about the lineage-based. You understand about history. That, honestly, I blame the Democratic Party, because how do we give you this much? Our vote, we're giving you our tax dollar, because you're using our tax dollar to do whatever you want to do with it, but you're not educating us at all. You're not protecting us at all. So I look at it as that. So I feel like the issue with Illinois is Illinois Republicans are so used to losing. They're so used to losing that they are salty that this could be this election coming up, the local, the state election coming up, that it is going to flip red. And it's going to flip red because it took Black people, Black women particularly, and to rise up and to be like, nah, this ain't it. And it's not taking it away from our men, because that's far from it. But you guys aren't standing up. I see in Illinois. I'm not saying anywhere else. There's plenty of men in Milwaukee, Houston, Detroit that are reaching out to us. New York that are reaching out to us. But in Illinois, it's like this stronghold with these men that are upset that we're on the front line. We're on the front line because you guys are not speaking the language that we need to win this election. And we are going to win this election. So either we're going to work together, or I'm going to leave you behind, because I see I see that we have to change Illinois to red. This has to be a red state for any of us. When I say all Americans, all Illinois, this has to go back to the land of Lincoln.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think people are a little disconnected to how vulnerable our country is right now. We have millions of people here that we don't even know who they are.
Yes.
We have plenty of people, including on Capitol Hill, who seem to be, in my observation, maybe I'm wrong, more committed to the country they left than the country that accepted them.
Yes.
Okay? We got people talking about how they're using their power in Congress to serve the country across the ocean and or south of our border. And so we have people in positions of power who are scared to speak truth to power because they don't want to lose their job. I can tell you that I've lost a lot because I'm unwilling to compromise on my principles, my values for fame, for relationship, for money, for work. And so, as my pop says, if you ain't afraid to lose your job, you don't deserve it. When it comes down to principles and values, you don't deserve it.
That's it, Miss Denise, because I feel the same way. First of all, no, you can't buy me. I don't care all the money you can offer me all the money in the world. You can't buy me to compromise what I believe in and what's right. So you can keep your money, you can keep the fame, you can keep everything. When it boils down to it, like you said, it's about what we believe in, what we are standing on, the principles of what's right and what's wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I can tell that about you. I can tell that I can tell that about you. And I'm grateful to you I'm grateful to God because I know he's doing this. He's doing it.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier, the coincidences that are happening, and it is just wild how things are lining up, and I'm here for it. And, I'm going to push, I'm going to fight. As the president said, for as long as people are behind this campaign, for as long as people are reaching out to me and saying, thank you for running, for as long as people are saying, I believe that you are going to be a great representative from the state of Illinois for us, as long as people are the wind beneath my wings, to be totally cliche, but yes, I'm in it, and I'm in it to win it. So I ain't trying to sell nothing. I ain't trying to get more followers. I block more people than I let follow me because people be on some mess. I am here on purpose and for a purpose. I believe Mama Dora said that the other day, or maybe that was Karen who said that the other day. But I'm here for the mission, and I'm here for the true constitutional purpose of what a senator is supposed to be. I'm here to solve problems. And if I ever get to a point where I ain't doing that well no more for the people, it's time for me to step down. No less than not voting me back in, but it's time for me to step down. So I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the fight.
That's it. Listen, you all, it's about we the people. We have to put people in that represent us. Like Dr. Long said, and me and Zoe keep saying this, we are so tired of foreigners coming in and holding these seats, but their allegiance is to their country. And everything they're advocating for is for the people who are from their country and not for the American citizens. That's a problem. That's a big problem.
You can't push socialism in a communist country, and that's the issue. And my thing is, if your government was broken and y'all couldn't figure out the solution there, I don't know what y'all think that y'all gonna do here. And it's showing you, y'all, even with the protests that are going on, even the one that's tomorrow, y'all look like clowns. Y'all look like certified clowns. There's not nothing. You guys are trying to push you're trying to make this y'all like the I don't know, the Hispanic KKK, I call it, civil rights movement, using on the backs of Dr. King and Malcolm X. It's like
Right.
The
audacity is wild.
Yeah,
audacity.
That looks nuts.
Yes, it's a slap in the face. The audacity. You're absolutely right.
I don't even think it's a slap in the face. It's God telling, like, I'm trying to tell you, this had to happen. It had to happen because they were literally infiltrating, and they infiltrated hard and fast, and to the point that it's like, oh hell no. Like, oh hell no. And like what I see is like, I'm not gonna let y'all gonna let a fourth country come over here and set up shop. You know, like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like, no, we're gonna have to start just setting shit on fire. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point. So yeah. But there's a what you got some competition. I don't know how you feel about your competition, but
I don't have competition. There is no one who is better suited for this role on the Republican nor Democrat side than I. There might be people who've thrown their hat, so to speak, into the ring. And you know what? I think the people should hear from the folks who think that they are able to do this. But I don't have real competition. I have been analyzing these policies, advocating for these policies, consulting with campaigns. I did talk with the Trump campaign as well back in 2023. And there was a whole, issue with, how the follow through with that, that broke fractured some relationship. But I don't have competition for this. This moment, I think I was made and refined for this moment. And so I'm going to do everything I can to show and prove to Illinois voters that I am the best candidate to go to the U.S. Senate and represent Americans first, all Americans first, and all Illinoisans first in the U.S. Senate. I can handle anybody that they've put forth on the Democratic side without issue. They have so much to defend, from J.B. Pritzker's handpicked successor and the connection to the insanity that he's unleashed, from transgenderism to mass immigration to this budget nonsense that they just passed, this 3,000 page bill that ain't nobody had an opportunity to read, to Congressman Raj, who just defended illegal immigration in the United States. He was born in India. He voted and came to the United States as a child, but still he seems to have allegiances elsewhere. He voted against the border bill, HR 2, in 2023. He voted against impeaching Alejandro Mayorkas, the former director of Homeland Security. So, and then other people just don't seem to have a real base to contend with. There are some people who haven't announced that they're running for Senate on the Republican side, but they keep talking about it and complicating and making a mess of things, including some folks who've been around for a while. But I would say if you've been around for 10, 20, 30 years on the Republican side, and we still don't have an Illinois GOP infrastructure to speak of, I want you to go ahead and stand on your record, because what you're telling me is I've done quite a few things in just 3 years, and you telling me that you weren't able to get infrastructure in place on the GOP in your existence in politics for 40 years. So how are you going to be different than what we've already had, which is ineffective leadership? And so
that's all I'm saying. That's all.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying too. Because like I told that man in 2023, if he didn't settle my mama case, I was gonna flip this red. That was in 2023. 2024, Chicago Fifth Red was established. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I mean, and we've got pushback. We've been at lunch. People came over. Well, I've been in the Democratic Party for 10 years, 20 years. Okay, well, what the fuck have you been doing? Because I don't
Republican.
know.
Republican.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I'm eating my salad. I'm eating my salad, and you coming over here bothering me while I'm eating my salad. So I don't know, but if you want to talk about this another time, we can. I've been to the White House. We've been to the White House too. I got arrested at the White House, but Danielle was in the White House. We haven't done this for a year, so clearly anybody can get to the White House.
Right.
We're trying to flip these seats.
Yeah,
we gotta flip these seats because we need a better government.
Yeah,
like it's about better government. No one knows how to govern, and that's just what I've witnessed down in City Hall was terrible. I'm pretty sure what you witnessed, Dr. Long, in downstate.
Yeah, essentially. Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad that they decided they made you. Because do you have to run? Or do you want to run?
You know what? It's interesting. I feel like I've been called to run.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I could be in some, university doing a thing right now, maybe, because what universities are doing right now is nuts in terms of their cancel culture and how you got to remember a whole bunch of pronouns. And child, I'm just
indoctrination schools, exactly.
I have never in my life have dealt with the pronoun fight. Like I'm not arguing no pronoun fighters. Like I'm not arguing no pronoun fighters, and I'm not arguing no they thems.
Yeah, I'm too old. I'm too old to be switched. No, but yeah. So I don't have to, but I feel called to. And the more I've talked to people before I decided to run, and even especially now that I've announced, the more I really want to. The more I want to answer the call, the more I feel compelled to answer the call. And so in some ways, I guess I do have to, right? A calling is a have to. But
you see the need. See, it's not that you have to, it's the need that you see. And you know that you really want to make a change. See, your heart is right. And that's what it is. You're not doing it for anything else but to make Illinois, Chicago, America better and greater again. That's what it is. Your heart is for the people.
Yeah.
What does your daughter think about you running?
Super supportive, always telling people about the campaign. She is such a cool human being. I always tell her, I'm like, you are a person that I would want to be friends with, and I'm super selective. So, child, you doing the thing. We may have some differences in policy, but we can have conversation about stuff. Super supportive. I have people in my family who are 100% lockstep in terms of the policies that I support, the things that are on my website. I have some who are very much not. And here's what I say. My job is to just tell people what I stand for and why. My job is to forecast the impacts of the policies that I support on them, their children, and grandchildren, whether they're related to me or not. They have to make the decisions about that whole idea of one man, one vote, one woman vote, one vote, and where they stood, what they stood up for at these times in our nation. So I don't try to beat people over the head, and we ain't gonna be hating on each other over Thanksgiving dinner. I'm just gonna tell the real when it's appropriate for me to say, I'm launching, this is what I stand for. I would love your support. And if people say I can't support that because I am more liberal or I'm totally liberal, then that's on them. And I'm gonna love you on Thanksgiving regardless, child.
Right. Right. That's it.
There was one question. Someone says, will Dr. Long make it possible for the American descendants of slavery to get our own ethnic category in the state of Illinois? If so, what is her approach to work around the Pan-Africans?
So my experience in, being a writer for Newsweek, appearing on media, and also being like what people call a social media sort of personality, and hosting Twitter spaces and whatnot. When I talk to non-Black people, non-freedmen as well as immigrants, like white Americans who resist the idea of reparations and the like, when I talk to them about reinvestment and what it actually means and what we've been doing since 1965 Hart-Celler Act with mass immigration, where people can come over here and code as us, look like us, and get our stuff, and even advocate against us while looking like us and getting our stuff, they hadn't thought about it in that way. And they're just like, yeah, what I used to like hate you. I followed you to talk crap on you, but now I understand your come from place, and I completely agree with what you're talking about. I've had white people who totally against affirmative action understand the history of affirmative action, how it's been abused, how freedmen are less likely to benefit from it. Everybody else, and when I say everybody, I do mean everybody else, benefits from it than us, that we want a correction of that. And we don't want it to last a 1,000 million years. We want to make sure that we get the redress and that we pull our people out of poverty, because many Black people are still the descendants of U.S. slaves and survivors of Jim Crow. Many of them are still living in poverty. We just want to get what we were promised. And we want to make sure that that leads to self-sufficiency, right? And generational wealth, an opportunity for generational wealth at the very least, that we can pass down finally in all these generations. Many people who resist support it. So to answer the question, continue to speak truth to power, continue to educate our people so that we can realize. Many of our people feel like they have to go against the white man, their fellow Americans, and go, coalesce with some dude that just walked across the border or flew over here before they work with their fellow Americans in order to make good stuff happen in an all Americans first agenda. So educating our people, making sure that I am able to educate, because child, I'm gonna have a session with everybody on the Capitol talking about the legacy, educating them about the history, talking about what it is that American Negroes are looking for, distinguishing ourselves as a distinct group to which the Supreme Court already said we are a protected class based on our injured status in the United States. And this is the conservative white justices and Clarence Thomas who made this very clear, right? So that protected class status is indisputable according to the Supreme Court and longstanding case law. So I'm going to be educating everybody so that when these people call them up and try to shoehorn Nigerians or anybody else into our redress and or the policies that are supposed to be for us, they will be well educated and able to push back and realize that you are talking to somebody who either is uninformed of the history that they're co-opting and or they're intentionally co-opting and deceiving you.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing. Because this is what we keep talking about. Everybody, the Democratic Party, they like to lump everybody in with us, with everything, benefits, everything. We never benefit from anything. We never benefit. But everybody else they lump in with us do. And for you to just say what you said, and you didn't do it in a way to make anybody feel excluded. You just told the truth. And the thing is, if we get what's owed to us, or just on the same playing field, then that's what we're asking. We're not asking for nothing else more than what, like you said, foreigners come in and get, or what everybody else is getting. We're just asking for us for what was intended for us to get, that we get, and we're taken care of. Nothing else, nothing, no more, no less. That's awesome. What you just how you just broke that down. Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad it resonates and that it represents what you want to have represented in Washington, D.C. And I really tell people this is a reinvestment. It's almost like the Freedmen's Bureau married to Doge, where we're looking at how we're wasting money and sending it to places we should never have been investing it in the first place. And we're redirecting it finally back to the people who had been excluded through ethnic networking. People come over here and they hire their people from their home countries rather than Americans. They fire Americans and Black Americans first. And so we're just basically level setting with this all Americans first agenda. And I love finally that Donald Trump and his administration is amplifying what I've been talking about coincidentally, which is efficiency and effectiveness in how government operates. Because here's the thing, once you redirect those services, and the Democrats know this, which is why they don't advocate it. Once you redirect those services to the people they were actually promised to, you're going to change outcomes for those people. Their economic base is going to improve. Their economic condition in their household is going to improve. And guess what? When people get more wealth, they tend to become more conservative.
That's it. That's it. Because, and let me put this out here, Dr. Long. See, but when I was younger, I didn't understand, like you said, it was vote blue no matter who, and it was just like, oh, Trump taking Medicaid, he taking food stamps, or don't let no Republican get in because they're gonna take your food stamps, they're gonna take this, blah blah blah. And the first, and I never forget when I believe it was Bush who got in. Who was that? And they cut the food stamps and things like that. Public aid. You had to go. You had to go in, and you had to show that you were working. If you wasn't working, you had to go to the public aid office or something like that, and show that you were, and work there for free for that little money they gave you. And so when that started to happen, what I saw that, like, my cousins, the people that I was around, it made them now get up and do something. And it made me get up and do something. And now to your point, my cousin now, she's a RN, and that's what it did for her. For me, it changed my the thought process, because the more I start getting this, the more I start establishing my business. And then I saw that the Democratic Party policies wasn't for me, somebody who's trying to establish something and do something on their own and be a business owner and not depend on the government. It made me see that the policies were detrimental to people who just wanted to work for a living and be middle class, I guess you want to call it, and made me more conservative, just like you said, and made me look at the policies, because I didn't want to be on welfare. I wanted more for my life. And that's what it did. So you are so right with that. And that was years ago. So yeah.
No, thank you for telling that story. And we need to hear more stories like that seeing people in your home get up, go to work, be on time, manage their relationships at work. It sets a model and example. Those are really important stories to tell, because it does transform lives. And here's the other piece that I tell people when I talk about the stuff that was supposed to be directed toward American Negroes, those people who were here at the founding and their descendants. We're talking about grants. We're talking about on-ramps for business development. We're talking about investments in education, including trade school, apprenticeships. We're talking about that kind of stuff that really does change people's lives, their bottom lines, and their family tree. Fiscal responsibility is a part of the way that I think about all this stuff, because you're directing the money to specific people. You're monitoring the outcomes. You're driving outcomes. You're reporting on those outcomes, and it's targeted. So it's not buckshot, it's precision injection of resources into those folks. And eventually, like you say, those people become self-sufficient. You have less reliance upon government. You have better pathways for upward mobility for the people who, like you say, don't benefit from the current way that things are operating with this give it to all these minority people of color sort of grifty folk. And we get left behind in the process. So
yes, that's it right there. That's it.
I see you pulled up the donate page.
Is Zoe there? Is she?
Okay, I wasn't. I thought she froze. Yeah. Okay. So this is the donate page.
No, I'm still here. I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
We do look.
Yeah. I'm trying to copy and paste everything. Gotcha. So yeah. So people, I need people to understand now. Dr. Long is going to get in regardless, because at the end of the day, we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. However, I need to donate, okay? And y'all can donate what you guys can afford. Also, voting as well. People understand voting is a donation as well. I always consider that. Registering as a independent or Republican, but we prefer Republican, and the reason why is because we need to send, especially freedmen Americans, Black Americans, we need to send Illinois a message. Don't you ever do this. Don't y'all ever play with us again, ever in life again. And if they see that freedmen, Black Americans register to vote, that also helps with this voter fraud. And this time we got a lot of lawyers. We got a lot of lawyers that's going to challenge a lot of this stuff because we're not going to Donald Trump us. work to do it. But as far as donations help. They help get the word out. They help us with marketing. Marketing is very, very important. That's one of the lessons that my mother taught me as a child. One of the lessons she taught me as a child was, and to this day now, you see, McDonald's and Tide, they don't have to ever do another commercial, but they still do. So marketing is very important, and that is something that we lack in our community, and I just don't think that we know how important it is. So please donate, please help as far as getting the message out there so people know who she is. Invite her to the city. Mama Doris is working on getting her to Chicago. I'm working on getting to Chicago. Also, we want to get on the road with you downstate. You know,
awesome.
Yeah, because it's all hands on deck, and we need it to happen, and we need people to be educated. We need people to know we're gonna have to get into these barbershops too, because today, oh my God, in my barbershop, they are just so lost.
Yeah.
She comes. So we got to get, because Dr. Long, we keep hearing this, and we know this is God. We don't care. You got to have a bunch of money. I don't know how y'all gonna do this. You need a bunch of money, and they got a bunch of bunch of money, and this and that. We have to show them, you all, that we can do it. It just it takes the people. We the people. We have to make it so big that they can't rig it, because a Republican in the deep blue city state, it's going to be a lot of backlash and things like that. We have to make it so big so that they can't deny it. They can't deny us. And we want you all to definitely please donate. But we gonna let them know that when we got God on our side and we're standing on principles that we believe and we're for you, then it's no way we can't lose, because we have the heart of the people on our side. So we got to show them that. And don't take, you can have, look at Kamala. She raised $1 billion and still lost.
Now she's begging for Alex Padilla.
So show everyday people like us, if we donate whatever we have, we can donate that, and we're going to do, and that's going to make an impact. And like Zoe said, you got to share, let people know about Dr. Long, and let your family know. We got to vote, register to vote. All of this you can contribute that way, and we really appreciate that, because the only way we're going to change the dynamic of what's going on in Chicago and Illinois is we the people take our power back, and we put the people that represent us in.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to everything that you both said. Yes. Register to vote. Please don't sit this one out. We have an opportune time to get me elected to go up to the Washington, D.C. and represent the people, all the people, and to have a strong advocate for Black Americans in particular in the U.S. Senate and on the Hill. Because y'all know how I do. If you watch me on X at all, I'm all about education and accountability and all of that. In addition to registering to vote, you can go to my website, longforsenate2026.com, and you can sign up to sign my petition. So if I have your address and all of that, I can make arrangements for the volunteers to go by and get your signature. So I have to have about, between 3,000 to 7,000 people sign a petition to get me on the ballot for the primary. So go to the website, sign and say, yes, I want to sign your petition. Give me your correct information, and we can come directly to you and when it starts in August 5th through November of 2025 to get you to sign the petition to get me on the ballot. Make sure that you vote for me in the primary so that I can be standing on that stage holding Democrats accountable during the debates between the primary is March 17th. So after the primary, holding them accountable for what they've done to this great state and the ways in which they've used Black Americans, as well as, leveraged the property taxes for all Americans, particularly in the collar counties, like the amount of tax y'all have paid for all this pension nonsense and the rest. And while they're broke, but still taking care of illegal aliens, it's crazy. So multiple ways you can be involved.
Insanity.
So you know what? I was just talking to I just got an email, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing me and Zoe keep going back and forth with and talking about. So it was one young lady, she actually put the comment, and she said that every time she tried to go, because Zoe said, we had to be registered and to vote. If she wanted to be registered to vote as a Republican, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she said that they told her, like Zoe said, that it doesn't matter if you register as a Democrat or a Republican. Don't matter. It doesn't matter. And she said she was very she wanted to do that. She
Mm-hmm.
said, but when she went to register, she couldn't register as a Republican. Far as
Yeah. So
that.
I'm not sure if this changed in Illinois or not, but we have you don't have to register as one or the other. And I don't even know if you really can, though you can affiliate with either party.
Mm-hmm.
And you can vote for me even if you are affiliated with the Democratic Party, or if you do have a legacy registration that says Democrat, you can still vote for me in the primary, even though I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat. Yeah, so in Illinois, you don't have to be party affiliated officially with the Board of Elections in order to pull that ballot. You will have to ask for the Republican, primary ballot or whatever in order to vote for me. And then when it gets closer to the time for all of that, we'll be doing some learning sessions. And Zoe and Danny, it'd be great if I could come on and talk to people about that when we get closer to the primary, so they can be really clear on what they can and can't, or should and shouldn't be doing when it comes to
good. That. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's good.
Yep.
No, I think I already worked with Mama Doris about doing maybe every 2 weeks or a weekly for the information, and I'd be honored when you're ready to come on, even if it's once a month, until we get to the until we get closer. Then we'll start doing weekly, because its consistency is key. Mm-hmm. And we got to get the information out there. Right now we have a total of I'm going to learn how to get this on Rumble too, but right now on iPod I see a total of 349 people.
Yeah, those people.
Matrix.
You want to try to get to a couple of questions, because I know that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we did the about the veterans, so they kept saying they wanted to know that, so we did that one. Let me see. They said she has my support.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they said, I'm voting for her.
Fantastic. And make sure you go to the website and put your information in, so that when it's time for petitions on August 5th, we can come straight to you and count you in as somebody who's going to help me get on the ballot for sure.
Okay, now Mama Dora said, Black people, Denise is an excellent candidate for the U.S. Senate. Let's give her an agenda to get behind her. So Mama Dora said, let's give you an agenda to get behind her. Okay.
Yeah, I love to hear it. I want to hear what people are thinking, what they're needing, what they're wanting, for sure. And we should always be providing agendas to the people who we elect.
Yes. Okay, they said, let me look at the comments. Dr. Long, what is your plan? Okay, we did that with the veterans. Mm-hmm. No foreign affairs, Palestine, Israel. Okay. So you have I'm voting for her, great candidate. Yes. Okay. Let me see. Did we have any? Because we said we could. Yes, she is spot on so far. Okay. Awesome. Dr. Long, great to see you. Okay, so you have great feedback. Everybody is very excited, saying like in the comments, and saying that you will be representing them, and they want you to represent them, and they said they will be voting for you.
Fantastic.
Thanks for running. Oh yeah.
Awesome. So, Danny, one of the things I want to address is something that you just talked about. People were talking about foreign affairs. We're sitting on a powder keg in terms of conflicts in the Middle East. You know that Israel just bombed Iran, and allegedly Iran bombed them back. And then we have the war in Ukraine. and Russia attempting to do all the things that it wants to do, especially in terms of keeping NATO out of that territory, which we promised them we would do.
Right.
Yeah. I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know.
Yeah. The Matrix be getting people, whether you're on Twitter or on Zoom or at StreamYard. I really expect that there's national security briefings that I don't have access to, not being a U.S. Senator. Mm-hmm. We have been talking about a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine for as long as I've been able to pay attention to politics, because I think Israel was seated in that territory, I think was it 1848 or 1948 or thereabouts. I think we have to be very mindful of humanity in terms of how we support Israel's right to defend itself, as well as Palestinians' rights to live freely in their homeland or in their country. And so I am not one who comes out and says, here's what I do support. I do not support genociding people and bombing innocent civilians. I support people's right to defend their existence. Again, I am not a straitjacket thinker, and I don't pledge allegiance to people, places, and personalities. My interest is in making sure that the United States is secure, that we do support our allies, and that we don't, as we did with Afghanistan and with Iraq and with Libya, step into a situation where we are destroying nations and we are creating humanitarian crises in the so-called name of democracy. That will make me unpopular with some people, and with other people who are committed to humanity, common sense, and truth, that will make me popular. So I can only stand on the truth as I know it. And that's what I can say about that.
But see, the good thing is this, and this is what people have to understand. When you stand for something, you got to stand for it. See, people so used to the career politicians, and we keep saying, tell them a well-polished, rehearsed lie.
Right.
Instead of getting the unedited, raw truth. You see what I'm saying? And so what you believe is what you believe, and you're going to stand on it, and you're not going to waver. So at least people go in knowing who you are, and you're not wavering to this group, to that group, to this, to that. And when people clear on who you are, what you stand on, and things like that. However, they may not agree with everything that you agree with, but they understand who you are, who they're voting for, and what they're getting. And I keep saying to people, when we get this, because I think right now is so great, because people are so tired of your established and career politicians. People want people just real, who out here with us, who know what we're going through, who can relate. You see what I'm saying? And that's who you exactly. And that's who God is raising up, people like that, to be into leadership. Because all that lying and wavering just to tell you what I want to tell you, and then you pay me in the highest bid to come and pay me under the table. Now I'm pushing this agenda, but lying to you just to tell you what you want to hear. And that's who you are. That's who we are. We're going to tell you what it is and how and what we're standing on. So at least you know what you're getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people respect that way more than just, you just telling them something that you think they want to hear.
Well, and so I think a lot of people who tout one thing over another are saying what their donors are requiring them to say, because when people give you a whole bunch of money, they ain't generally doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They're looking for something in return. And so I encourage people, individuals, to donate generously as you can to the campaign. I will go ahead and say that the maximum you can donate before the primary is $3,500. If you got that, I will certainly receive it and put it to good use. But if the maximum you can donate is $25, feel free to donate $25. I receive it all with generosity, acknowledgement, and appreciation. However, when people give you big amounts of money, PACs give you big amounts of money, they expect you to toe the line on what it is they want you to say. I do not want my voice to be, and I will not allow my voice to be owned by anybody. When the words come out of my mouth, they are words that I believe. I want to understand the truth about the issue. And I want to be able to tell the American people that I represent, that have hired me to represent them. I want to be able to tell them the truth. And I want them to be rest assured that what I say is coming from my beliefs and understandings and using information, data, objective information and data to form and shape my opinions and the words that I say.
And at the end of the day, you're going to do what's best for them. That's it.
Exactly.
What's best for the people who put you in office and who you represent. Absolutely. That's it, Dr. Long. That's it.
That's the task.
That's it. Yeah, and that's all we can, and that's all we the people ask for. Mm-hmm. That's it. Not for what's in your best interest, not for the highest bidding, you doing their bidding, within the best interest of we the people who we put you in that office to represent. That's it. That's all we can ask for. That's it.
And that's what I aim to do, for sure.
Oh, that's good. That's great right there. So with that being said, because I see, is there anything that you want to say ending? Is there anything that you want to say? Because I think Zoe having a little technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, but is there anything you want to say? Because you it's kind of breaking up, Zoe, a little bit. It's like, that's okay, but now I got you. So, Dr. Long, is there anything that you want to say in ending and things like that to people who's watching?
Yeah, well, first I want to say thank you, Danny and Zoe, for having me on. I've greatly appreciated this conversation. Keep up y'all's energy. Keep doing the work that you're doing. It's very much needed. You got to rattle cages. You got to shake the table for people to pay attention, and you're on the right path. So thank you. And thank you for inviting me into this space with you and for your support. That means a lot to me. For folks who are listening, I'll say, first of all, thank you for listening, and reach out. Really go to my website, longforsenate2026.com. Let me know that I have your support. Let me know if you will sign my petition. Let me know if you want to volunteer, if you want to knock doors, if you want to get involved with the campaign, if you want to host an event, if you want to host a fundraising event. We can talk about what that can look like in partnership as well. I want people to make sure that you tell everybody you know, both in Illinois, since they vote, but also outside of Illinois. Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody in Chicago, okay? So tell everybody you know. If you know people in media, reach out on my website and connect me with those people. Interviews really do matter. That people watch, they can hear me talk about my platform. They can hear me talk about how I plan to represent them. And any folks who you know in politics, or potential donors that you can connect me with as well. This is very much a grassroots campaign. I've been really humbled. I've been truly humbled by how people have reached out to support me. People just sending me a note on the webpage. It lights my fire. It makes me feel like this is the right thing to do. I need to hear from you. And people who've donated to the campaign from all around the country. That's meaningful to me, that you will open up your wallets to support me in getting the word out. So this won't be the last time you see me. You're going to hear or see me somewhere. And just make sure that you stay connected to me and the campaign. Again, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, what else? Facebook as well. So get connected, follow. And I'm on TikTok. I need 1,000 followers in order to do lives on TikTok. Zoe's going to have to teach me how to do that because I'm not that good at it.
So what's your TikTok? Because we need people to go follow right now on TikTok.
Yeah.
So you can go live. So what's the TikTok?
It's, if you look up Long for Senate 2026, you can find me on most of your social platforms. But yes.
Okay. So y'all, let's please go over there and follow her, because you do need a certain amount of followers to even go live. And we do need to go live on TikTok because that's another group of people. It's a lot of young people on TikTok.
Yes.
We definitely need you to be able to go live and things like that, to be active on TikTok. So please, you all, go on TikTok, her TikTok page, and follow her too, so we can get her to go be able to go live. And please, this is important, like she said, the signatures. She's gonna need those signatures to even get on. So we need her to, we need you all to go to the website and go on there and donate and you know, with the signatures and things, so she can come out and get them, because they're going to, because we got a Republican, we got somebody who really want to make that change. They're going to try to make it hard, you know. They're gonna, so we got to make sure, like I said, we got to make it too big to rig. We got to have it so many signatures that they can't question nothing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yes, we got to do this, because they, you know, these demons, they hate this. They hate this.
Yeah, they're active, and they're only going to get more and more active as this campaign is getting more serious. People from all left and the right are doing what they do, but it's our time, as Miss Karen be saying, it's our time. So let's make it happen and let's claim it.
That red wave about to happen, baby. I told y'all, we flipping Chicago red, we flipping Illinois red, we about to flip everybody, you know, the whole country, the United States getting ready to flip red, because these blue states was happening with these riots, and they're seeing the mask is off with these Democrats. So we seeing it. So the red wave is happening, you all, and it's going to take us to finish this job. It's going to take us to do it. So, hey, we the people. I keep saying, we the people. We gonna do this. So, Zoe, you everything can you talk, Zoe, or before we end this?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little more, but we can hear you. Say something, Zoe.
It is what it is.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I'm at the office. We got like a little share space, and I gotta set this website. I mean, this Wi-Fi up. So that's my.
I can hear you. We can hear you. Okay, we can hear you.
Saying that's what messed it up earlier.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Long. I posted everything on the X page. I have one question. There's another man that's running as well. His name is John Goodman, and he's been reaching out, and I'm going to talk to him as well. As far as what does it mean with the lieutenant governor? How does that lieutenant governor? Do you know how that works, or is that, do you pick the lieutenant governor, or I do all?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, the candidate who's running for governor chooses who's going to be on his or her ticket as lieutenant governor. Okay. Currently, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, Democrat Lieutenant Governor for J.B. Pritzker. Juliana Stratton
is African American. She's puppet.
Yeah. So she is running on the Dem side. And she and Congressman Raj, whose name I won't butcher at the moment, is running. Yes, he's the one who supported the Democrat sanctuary city policies during the testimony on the Pritzker's testimony recently. But yes, so they're considered the front runners on the Dem side.
Oh, they got to go. Yep, those it's over. It's
open borders and transgenderism. And I know many of you may know back in 2023, they'd asked 300 some odd people to defend DEI policies in academia. And I was the first person who made a commitment to actually go on and talk about DEI. And if you haven't seen my performance in that debate, I've been accused of being the reason that this whole trans and DEI stuff in academia has been basically abolished. And I presented the argument that in 2023, that they are hooking all of this stuff, this immoral, depraved actions with kids and whatnot on the legacy for American freedmen, which is highly inappropriate. But what they're trying to do is not appropriate to include in the first place. We shouldn't be transing kids and things of that sort. So So yeah, I'm ready for prime time, as they say, and I'm ready to take on anybody in the primary as well as the general election. So.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Well, I get the craziest text messages from. Yeah, I'll call you Danny. Uh, all right. Well, I would like to continue this going, so maybe we could do another one next month.
Okay.
Just an update, and then I want to join you. I'm going to Atlanta. It's impromptu for a couple of days, but a few days, actually 2 weeks. But I want, we're going to talk about DC because we have the rally in DC. But when I come back after we're done with everything, I would like to join you on a couple of downstate. We haven't been downstate at all. I haven't been to Springfield. So
okay, well, we're gonna have to. You won't be able to say that by the time summer is over.
Yes. Yes.
Doris, gonna set something up for you this next weekend coming up, and I'm gonna talk to you about that, Danny, so you can be there as well in Chicago, so South Side. So
okay.
I appreciate you taking the time to come talk with us, and
Thank you.
you're more than welcome to always come to this platform, and please continue to educate us and speak your truth. I appreciate you being who you are, Dr. Long. It's kind of hard when you navigate this political world when people want you to be something that you're not going to be because you just who you are. I'm organically me. I'm not perfect. But I'm also not a politician, like you said. You're not a politician either. So you see you see an issue, and you want to fix it, and it will be fixed.
And Dr. Long, and we will please come and talk with us and let us know, what do you see the need to change in Chicago? What would you see the need to change? For us in Chicago, because we can be pushing that in Chicago. So hey, you all, we're going to be talking with Dr. Long. She's going to give us her input and saying, hey, this is what needs to happen in Chicago for us to be able, in Illinois, for us to be able to push these laws and policies to make my job easier. If we all align like this, we can get this done for the people. So we're going to be meeting with Dr. Long to see what we can do in Chicago to change everything too, as well. What policies would she think will be good, what direction we need to go in, and things like that too. So this is I love it.
I love it as well. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been a real honor, and I've enjoyed chatting it up with you guys. Keep doing what you are doing.
Okay.
Very necessary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye, y'all. Love y'all. Look, let's make Chicago great